I'm not sure if everyone's had a chance to meet Dr. Webb. He has graciously decided to come and help us out while we do our superintendent search to find our, I guess, full-time superintendent. Due to his recent tenure at a facility a little north of here, we wanted to present him with something to make sure that he had the proper attire for
Thank you.
for working in Pickens County.
Oh.
You don't have to put it on right now, but you've at least got a green tie for any occasion that you need.
This will go well with what I'm going to wear tomorrow, in fact.
Okay. And I think Coach Parker also.
On behalf of everyone to give you some gear here, some stuff you can. Here we got.
Oh, great. Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. This is,
You look much better in green.
my wife says the same thing, by the way. So, thank you very much. Let's get going. We got some
Yep,
fun
let's
tonight.
get this started.
Well, it's 6:30 on January 12th of 2017, and as a duly appointed interim superintendent, and in accordance with board policy BBA and Title 20 of the Annotated Code of Georgia, I hereby call this meeting of the Pickens County Board of Education to order. It's my honor to welcome our newly elected and duly sworn board members, Sue Finley and Catherine White, and to their first meeting, and to recognize Daniel Bell and Delane Lewis and Byron Long, who are continuing their terms on the board. Also present is our long-standing board attorney, Phil Landrum, who also serves as our parliamentarian. As elected or appointed officials, we humbly welcome those in attendance tonight. This is a good crowd, and I'm very excited to see you. Thank you for attending. We're honored tonight to have two local citizens leading us into our meeting with the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Judge Brenda Weaver, who is the chairman of the Board of Deacons at First Baptist Church in Jasper, will seek God's blessings and guidance on your deliberations tonight. Judge Weaver is a lifelong resident of Pickens County here in Jasper. Following the invocation, former United States Air Force Sergeant William Dilbeck will lead us in the pledge. Mr. Dilbeck served from 1968 to 1972, earning the rank of sergeant while specializing in electronics and communications. Following his service, he taught here at Pickens Tech, Appalachian Tech, Chattahoochee Tech for 30 years before retiring 15 years ago. Judge Weaver, will you lead us in prayer, followed by Mr. Dilbeck?
I must confess that I am not a lifelong resident. I'm actually a Gimmer Bobcat. But I did move here. My husband says I did get smart and move here in 1975, so does that count? And all 5 of my children graduated from Pickens High School, and my husband graduated from Pickens High School. So does that sort of make it a level playing field?
Well, at least it didn't take as long to get here as it took for me to get here. So you're ahead of me.
Okay. Let us pray. Lord, we thank you for the opportunity, and we are humbled that you hear us and that you seek our prayers. Lord, we ask tonight with our Board of Education, those who are new and those who have served before, that they seek your knowledge, they seek your wisdom, they seek your compassion in every decision they make. Lord, we know that education in this county and in this state and in this nation is the true defense of tyranny. That is through the education of our citizens that we make this country stronger, that we ensure that the democratic system of government will continue. It is through our children that we will continue to exist, and it is through the efforts of our superintendent and this Board of Education and the teachers and staff of Pickens County that will provide the education that our children need to exist and prosper in this world. We ask that you bless them in their efforts tonight and throughout this year, and that they too will never cease to request your blessings and your knowledge. And all of these things we pray. Amen.
Stand. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Judge Weaver and Mr. Gilleland. We also are pleased tonight to have our chairman of the Pickens County Board of Commissioners, Rob Jones, with us. And Commissioner Jones, we appreciate your attendance tonight and invite you to attend any or all of our meetings. We appreciate the cooperation and support that the Board of Commissioners provide the Board of Education.
Thank you very much, and welcome to Pickens County. Glad to have you here.
Thank you, sir. Board, your next responsibility is to approve an agenda, and are there changes needed in the published agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the agenda as published?
Make a motion we approve the agenda as published.
Mr. Bell, second. Ms. Lewis, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The agenda is approved. In accordance with policy BBA, the first item of business at the first board meeting of the new year is to elect a chairperson and a vice chairperson. The board member receiving a majority of the votes cast for the position of chairperson shall be set as the board chairperson. The board member receiving a majority of the votes cast for vice chairperson shall be the vice chairperson. The chairperson and vice chairperson shall take office immediately upon their election. At this time, I open the floor to nominations for the chairperson.
I nominate Daniel Bell as chairperson.
Mr. Bell has been nominated. Are there other nominations? Hearing no further nominations, it appears you're ready to vote on the sole nomination. Therefore, all in favor of Mr. Bell as chairman, please raise your hand. Opposed? One abstention. The vote is 4-0, and your new chairperson is duly elected. Mr. Bell, congratulations. Please move to the chairman's honored seat and preside over the meeting and election of a vice chair. I may need to check and see what size you wear here for.
Okay, first of all, most likely I will not sound as professional as what you just heard. So bear with me as I get going through this process, and I'll try to become more familiar with moderating the meetings, and I know it will become a little more comfortable. I am not the most technically savvy person, so I like things in my hand, so I will make sure that I analyze what I do to make sure the board meetings go as efficiently as possible. Okay, looks like the first item on the agenda for me will be to open up the floor for the vice chair for 2017. Have any nominations for vice chair?
I nominate Delane Lewis.
Dwayne Lewis nominated for chair. Any other nominations?
Vice chair.
I'm sorry, vice chair. Any other nominations? If none, I'll entertain a motion that nominations be closed.
make a motion that nominations be closed.
We have a motion. Get a second.
I second that.
Okay. Delane Lewis been nominated as Board Vice Chair for 2017. All in favor signify by raising your hand. Four with one abstaining. Delane Lewis has been elected Vice Chair, Pickens County Board of Education for 2017. That gets us to spotlight on student achievement. First up, we will have Ms. Wigington, Pickens County 4-H County Extension.
Good evening. I'm Rachel Wigington. I'm the Pickens County Extension Agent. And in November, we took about 12 4-Hers from 5th grade to a competition in Union County called District Project Achievement. It's a competition where you can start in 5th grade and you can do the competition all the way up until 12th grade. So our 5th graders competed in Union County this year. At District Project Achievement, they pick a topic that they want to compete in, and they write their speech. It's about a 3 to 5 minute speech that they write themselves. They have a poster that they go along with the presentation, and they competed, and they all did very well this year. And tonight we're here to recognize them. So we'll start with Jasper Elementary School first. We have Isabella Lau. And she competed in the horse project. She competed in the horse project. Next we have Jordan Blankenship, and she competed in companion animals. Next we have Connor Watson, and he participated and competed in the Poultry and Egg Science Project. Next we have Gilleland Martinez, who's Miss Tracy, she's a 4th grader. She's a 4th grade student who competed this year. She competed in workforce preparation. Next we have J.C. Hawkins in the Dog Care and Training Project. Julie Carter, she competed in rabbits.
She's not here.
Who is not here. That is all right. We also have Lane Walker, and he competed in environmental science. Okay, from Tate Elementary, we have Shaylin White, and she competed in communications. We also have Megan Stovall, and she competed in veterinary science. And we have Dylan Eaton, who competed in wildlife. Is he here? Okay, that's And then from Hill City, we have Nathan Johnson, and he competed in the Beef Project. And last but not least, we have Kinsley Hamilton, and she competed in sports. And those are our competitors for this year's District Project Achievement.
In the middle. Keep on going. I can't.
Live.
They're ready for the cupcakes.
Yeah.
Next, we'll have the Sassafras Literary Exchange Creative Writing for Youth Contest. Mr. Flatt.
Yes, sir. Good evening. First of all, I want to thank the volunteers and the members that helped with the Sassafras Literary Exchange. From what I was told and understand, they spent almost 80 hours reading through all the various fictional stories, essays, and poetry to come down to their winners. I also want to thank all the teachers who pushed and prodded the kids to do this, and they got some really good turnouts from it. And finally, I want to thank the students who are willing to put their talents out on the line, because when you're a writer, which I tried to be a couple of times, and that was a disastrous end, it can be a scary thing putting that out there for someone to read. So I'm very, very happy with them. I do know that we had a number of kids that placed, and a number of them came today, so they could not be here tonight. So we're going to specifically honor those that were here. I'm going to call everyone's name out because I'm afraid I may have missed someone in the crowd accidentally as I was looking around. I'm going to start off with our nonfiction winners. And Amber Scott won first place in nonfiction. I don't believe Amber's here tonight. I didn't see her in the crowd as we came in. Lily Ryle placed second in the nonfiction category. Come on up, Lily. I talked to one of Lily's teachers about her, and they told me how extremely positive she was and how dedicated and what a sweet girl she was. So she's done a great job in class. For third place in nonfiction, we had Paola Aguilar. I believe Paola's here. And we had two honorable mentions in nonfiction. Those were Macy Gallagher as well as Charlene Roush. We'll move on to our section in fiction. And so these students wrote a fictional piece, some sort of short story that had to be, I believe, below 1,500 words. And the first student, our second place winner, was Tristan Westcott. And I talked to some of Tristan's teachers about him, and they told me how super organized Tristan is and meticulous. He actually keeps the teachers online when things are due and helps out a great deal of that. And he was a lover of the fantastical. Congratulations, Tristan. Our other placers for this were Trey Lund, who placed third place in the fiction category, as well as Sierra Rice, who was an honorable mention in this category, as well as Nora Finney. And our last section was poetry. and we had these students place in poetry. I know that our first place winner sought me out this morning, Claire Seabolt, and told me she was not going to be able to be in attendance. Our second place winner was Allison Johnson in the poetry contest. And Megan Owens, who I believe is here. I think I saw Megan. Megan was third place in the poetry section of the contest. The teachers told me how impressed they are with Megan, as she is a member of FFA. She is involved in all things outdoors and is a completely well-rounded student, very well-read, and loves to be a part of all academic things. Congratulations, Megan. And we had an honorable mention in poetry, and I believe Spencer's here. I think I saw him over there. Spencer Halco. When I spoke to Spencer's teachers about him, they told me about how thoughtful and hardworking and conscientious Spencer is, and did a great job with his entry. Take a look. And one last student that also was honorable mention was Grace Hudson, and I don't believe Grace is here. Saw her. And that is all of our Sassafras Literary Exchange winners and honorees.
Congratulations.
That's the best part right there, is the cupcakes. Congratulations.
Dr. Flatt will also recognize the state finalist Playwright, Pickens High School student.
Nick, you here? Come on up, Nick. I thought I saw you. I didn't know where you were sitting at. Nick has, you can come over here, you can go up there, Nick, wherever you want to go. Nick has done quite a remarkable thing. Nick has been the lead role in 2 performances at Pickens High School, and it's just an incredible job. But more incredibly, as Ms. Boehm has explained to me, is that Nick might be a better writer than he is an actor, and she's not sure of it. And the reason we're honoring Nick tonight is Nick is a state finalist. He submitted his own play to the Georgia Thespians, and they are going to be reviewing that at the Georgia Thespian Playworks Conference. It's in February, next up when it is. And so they will be reviewing his play, and there will be professional playwrights critiquing. I believe Daniel Guyton, was that the correct name, is going to be critiquing that. He has the possibility, if chosen, his play to be acted out at next year's conference. So this is a very big deal, but more importantly, Ms. Boehm could not stop extolling to me all the virtues of Nick, of how hardworking he is, and how he is just this amazing person. He's so quiet and reserved, but as soon as he hits the stage, it's like a whole nother person has come alive. And she was so proud of him and what he's been able to do. Thank you, Nick. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Flatt.
Yes, sir.
This would normally be the area of public participation, but we've had no one sign up for public participation. Next up will be Superintendent Reports.
Chairman, before we get into the reports, I would be remiss if I didn't pause and just thank this board and this community for the warm welcome that my wife Linda and I have received since temporarily moving here, really now about a week and a half ago. And just on her behalf, I want to express our appreciation for all the extras you've done and how warming this community has been. Although we're not accustomed to the snow, So we went through a couple of days that were quite an adjustment, but as you can see, now I've brought some of the warm weather from South Georgia, so hopefully the next few days will be a little better than those early in the week. But thank you so much for that. Also, I wanted to as a matter of record, to state that I intend to manage your school district in accordance with state and federal laws and the local regulations, board policies and guidelines, and in concert with this community. So with that in mind, I would like to move on to the superintendent's reports. We're first delighted to have Mr. Sandy Addis of King & Associates to give you an update on the search process that he's begun.
Thank you, Dr. Webb. Thank you, board members. Mr. Chairman, board members, I'm Sandy Addis. I'm with King Cooper & Associates. We're a small search firm that assists Georgia school districts with superintendent searches. And so we're very appreciative of the fact that you have chosen us to assist you. Let me give you a very short orientation, since we haven't actually got to meet before, and we'll spend a lot of time together as we go through this process. We are Georgia's most active non-school board association search group. Between the three of us that make up this group, which is Frank King, Henry Cooper, and myself, we have led over 50 searches in Georgia. I have led 18 searches. This would be my 19th search. Typically, we assign one person to be the primary contact and to do the direct work with the board, usually based on geography and how proximity we are to the board, and that'll be me. But I'll have two other people working behind the scenes. You may get to meet them. That means that if you have a meeting day and one of us can't be there, then we've got other people that do. Let me tell you just a little bit about how we go about searches. We're a little bit different from other groups that assist boards with searches in that first of all, it's not our search, it's your search. Every search we do is a little bit different. We look to you to approve and tell us what you want done in the search. Now we have some processes that we're going to recommend and some steps that we will strongly suggest or offer, but it's your search, not ours. We have even a few non-negotiables. One is we don't tell you who to interview or who to hire. You decide that. We do the legwork and the groundwork that facilitates that decision, even to the point of ranking applicants. We only rank applicants based on what you tell us are your criteria. I think we're going to get together probably in a couple of weeks in a retreat and do some search planning while the applications are coming in. And we'll ask you to build a profile. We'll ask you to go through a process with me where we will outline and determine what you're looking for. We're also going to suggest, even though it's certainly not required, we're going to suggest that we do some surveys. Surveys of employees, surveys of the community. We'll do that electronically probably. And we'll take that information, we'll pull that together for you. We'll take your criteria that you say you're looking for, we'll take what they're looking for, and we'll build a profile. Then we will suggest that you ask us to group those applicants based on how close they meet the profile, not who's best, but how close they match what you and the community and the employees say you're looking for. And then we'll bring all applications to you. You'll see all applications. We will review them in advance as they come in. We will review them. And then we will give you a summary sheet of them, but they're all available to you. We don't hold back anything. We'll make sure that you see every application, and you can decide from that at a point in time who to interview, how many people to interview, that type of thing. But we'll kick off the announcement here shortly. Matter of fact, we'll start it tonight when I get back to my computer. If you tell me you're ready to go with the announcements, I'll give you some documents to look at in just a minute. And then during that time, while applications are coming in, we'll work with you to prepare, to plan, to develop the profile, also to prepare interview procedures and processes. We also will walk with you through every step. We will make sure that you're comfortable as you move from one step of the search to the next. And we'll make sure that everything is as you want it to be. Another non-negotiable is we don't represent applicants, we represent the board that we work for. Now, we'll work with the applicants to bring them to the table. We'll work with the applicants to make sure they want to work for you and get them to that point so that you can then make a good choice. The other thing that's a non-negotiable for us, and we've never had anybody argue with this, we don't expect you to pay us unless you're satisfied with the search process. We feel that it's very important that you be satisfied with the way we do business. Now, the other thing, I take redirect pretty well. And so as we move along, if you say, well, we want to do this, we want to go that direction in the process and procedures, you let us know, and that's what we'll do. Also along the way, we will offer to you draft press releases so that you can keep the community and keep the media informed. But again, we will only speak for you based on something you've approved. So we'll make sure that you're satisfied and happy with whatever comes out from this. There's a lot of interest in it, obviously, there always is. It's a very important decision that you make, probably maybe the most important decision you make as a board. And so we want to make sure that we keep everybody informed. Your employees are watching it, the community's watching it, the media's watching it, and so we want to make sure that it's a smooth process and it's comfortable for you. What I'd like to give you is a couple of things. Let me give you these documents. What you have there, a couple of things I'd like for you to do a little homework on. We have already started receiving a few applications because the word's out that we're going to conduct your search. Now, we have not posted it yet, but we'll do that immediately after tonight based on your consent. And the reason is when we put out a notice, when we start advertising, the first thing people want to know is when's the application deadline, and we didn't have that yet. So what you'll see there before you is a draft timeline. Now, this doesn't require approval because it's going to be flexed as we go along. But one of the key dates that we're going to suggest is a February 28th closing date for applications. And so you'll notice that about halfway down the page. And that's nothing that you have to approve, but when we put out a publication, when we put it on our website, your website, the GSBA website, the GSSA website, when we send a mailing, which we will do immediately, out to all school districts in Georgia and all RESAs, we do need to put a closing date. So unless you tell me otherwise, I'm going to suggest that that be the closing date. That gives us a good 5.5, 6 weeks actually for people to apply. That's plenty of time. That's a common thing. Most searches allow at least 4 weeks. 6 is comfortable. 6 gives people time. Your timing is good right now. This is a good time to do a search. You're not in a terrible rush. You've got a great interim superintendent. You're in business there. And so I think your timing is fine. What we would suggest, and again, these dates are not set in stone, and typically as we go through a process, boards adjust the timeline as we move along. But if we have the applications due by the last day of February, that gives us time to work together to develop the profile, to prepare the interview instruments and that type of thing. Also, we will check references along the way, and at a point we'll make sure that you have good information on the applicants, and we'll make sure that if there's something that needs to be known and we know it or find it out, we'll tell you, because we're working for you. We would also suggest that probably your interviews are going to take place toward the end of March. You notice there at the bottom of the first page, and I just put March 20 to 31st. That's just a window, and that's nothing concrete. But that would be a good time to do interviews. Typically, when we get all the applications in, and then we've gone through them, we brought them to you, you've had time to look at them, and then you decide who to interview, then it takes a little time to schedule those interviews. And so we would bring those in. Now, when we do the interviews, and I'll walk you through this as we get closer to it, but when we do the interviews, we'll be right there with you. We will have prepared the process. We will have worked with you to prepare interview questions. We'll have you ready for that, and then we will be there to assist you and guide through that process. But you would do the interviews unless you have some reason to choose otherwise. Probably, maybe around April 10, 14 or 15 in that time frame. You would want to do some second interviews, and then you would probably, we would project that you would select 1, 2, or 3 finalists to announce as required by Georgia statute. We would suggest that you do that somewhere around the middle of April. You are aware, I'm sure, that you have a 14-day public announcement period once you name up to 3 finalists. You don't have to name 3, you name 1, you name 2, you name 3. But once you make a public announcement of those finalists, then you have a 14-day waiting period for public comment. And so you really can't hire, you got a 14-day window that's built in there that you can't really adjust. And so that would put you certainly finishing up the search and actually formally employing someone toward the 1st of May 3, 4, 5, right in that time zone. So unless you tell me otherwise, excuse me, I'm going to immediately put out notices on this thing, and we will say that the application deadline is the last day of February. And that gives you plenty of time to get somebody in place. Okay. Now, I would say about your search, this is going to be an easy search for us to do in a way, because it's going to be real easy to attract high-quality candidates. You're going to have a lot of applicants. This is a very attractive school system. You have a great reputation. This is also a very attractive place for people to come to and to live and work. And so this is one of those type systems that we look forward to doing, because it's easy to attract good applicants. You'll have a good many applicants. I can't give you an exact number. I would guess 25 to 35 would be a pretty common number for this type of system in this part of the state. And what we will do is we will make sure that the word is out there. It used to be that when we did searches, we would publicize it in, you put it on Teach Georgia, you put it on out in administrative journals, that type of thing. That's really not necessary anymore, because we put it on our website, it'll be on your website, it'll be on the Georgia School Superintendent Association website, it'll be on the Georgia School Board Association website. We'll get all that up almost immediately, get it up by first of the week. And so once we do that, all somebody's got to do is Google Superintendent Vacancy Georgia, and it pops up all over the place. And that's what people do. And so there are a lot of people that are watching this, people that are serious applicants would have been watching for something like this, and they check frequently. And so that'll get the word out. What you'll probably have is mostly in-state applicants, but you'll have some out-of-state applicants. This is also a very attractive place for people from other places. And so you'll have some in-state and out-of-state. You'll also have people that are, of course, they have to be certified or have the capacity to be certified very quickly. And so you will have sitting superintendent supply, you will have assistant superintendent supply, you will have principal supply, all sorts of people from different types of career paths. And so you'll have good choices. And we would anticipate it being a very smooth search. The other thing that you've got there with you behind that timeline is you've got a draft press release. One thing that we like to do for boards, we don't speak for you without your consent and without your approval, but we feel like about every 2 or 3 weeks, the people want to know, and the media wants to know, and your employees want to know what's going on. And so we will put out, or we'll offer you to put out a draft press release. There's a draft of the first one there that we suggest, and I'd like for you to take a read over that at your leisure, maybe tonight or tomorrow, and then either let Dr. Webb know, or however you want to do it, that that's okay, and then we'll get that out through your media people. And if it's not okay, then you tell us, and we'll go back and modify it and make it what you want, because it's your search and it's your statement to the public, not ours. What questions could I answer for you?
This, as far as your timeline, and I'm asking this as a statement, and you can respond to it too, in the ability to make sure that we communicate with the community. As our community, they saw us a month ago, vote to hire the search firm. And just as myself, there's a lot of assumptions, because this is all new to me to go through this. And obviously we've had changes here, and these things have impacted how quick things could happen. So, you know, I was assuming things, and I'm not blaming anybody, because I'm going to take some of that on myself for not asking enough questions, but with all the stuff going on, I see that we're basically, at this point, we're a month, you know, what I would consider behind. Not anybody's fault, but I just want the community to know that this is a top priority for us, because we do have a school bill. We've got priorities, you know, that we've got to establish, and big ticket items that we've got to deal with coming up. And I want the community to be involved as much as possible and know that we're not sitting here, you know, not doing something. So it's good that this is happening here and with this timeline. Is this something, as we start going through, can we potentially, and this is new, and I may change my mind completely as I'm exposed to more of this and what we have to go through, is this something that can be expedited as we go in trying to recoup some of this time from the past?
It certainly can, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I would say to you that in our experience and opinion, I think your timing is very good. I wouldn't worry about being behind. One of the things, if there's an error to be made in the timing of a search, it's getting in a hurry and making a decision that is rushed. And so I would caution you against that. Typically, you know, we would say that your timing is good at this point. However, we can expedite this timeline. There's nothing holy about it. You notice everything I gave you says draft on it, and that's just suggested. We certainly could have the places you could shorten it would be that you could have a shorter window of application. You could go down to 4 weeks. Anything less than 4 weeks gives the impression you've made up your mind to applicants, and you don't want to create that because you haven't, obviously. And so I would suggest that you keep a longer window. We could drop that back a week. We could drop it back to February the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, and that would still be sufficient time. What it will do, it'll get you a slightly less number of applicants. And so that would be a consideration. The other thing that we can do, from the time we close this thing, whether it's last day of February the 21st, 2nd, or 3rd, whatever it turns out to be, from the time we close it, we need a little bit of time to prepare the applications and bring them to you. And so we can push that. We like to have 10 days. We can do it quicker because we process them as we go. We check references. We go through the process. We review them. So, but the interesting thing, maybe it's not unfortunate, whatever the window of application is, you will receive half of them the last 5 to 8 days because that's just the way it works. And so then we've got a backlog of the three of us reviewing and that type of thing, but we'll make that work. Then once you decide who to interview, then you got to schedule those interviews. So in answer to your question, we can expedite this if it's and really I would work off the end date. And working backwards. If the board has a desire to name, and really naming the finalist is sort of it's almost the end. If you name one finalist, it sort of is the end. If you name 3, it's almost the end. But if you noticed I've suggested there April the 17th to announce a finalist. You could drop that back to April the 10th, April the 6th. We could move that back some. So if your desire is to have someone in place or named sooner than that, then we can adjust that, and I'm certainly willing to do that at the pleasure of the board.
And I wouldn't say that because I think that it automatically should be. I just want to, I wanted everybody to know that if possible we can, but it may stay exactly like this right here as we start unrolling. I know Byron's probably definitely the one that's went through this process before. So what I may be perceiving, it may be completely different as this unfolds.
I think you're fine on your time, to tell you the truth. But there again, we can make this work. What you have is that if you were doing this search, if you were starting a month from now, one of the challenges would be that people are making commitments, signing contracts. Now, people can be released from contracts, as you know, but people are making commitments, and the further they get to the end of the year, the less likely someone is going to be to want to leave a position. Any good administrator that you would want to hire does not want to leave a prior position in a lurch, and you don't want to hire somebody that would. And so I think you're fine there. Certainly, when, you know, by a closing date for applications at the end of February, serious applicants are going to know, I mean, they know they've applied, obviously, and they know they're in the mix, are going to be close. And they certainly, when you start calling people in for interviews, which is going to be probably, right now we're saying March 20 to 31st, if I start calling people on March the 12th, let's say, and say, I want you to come for an interview, then those people are going to know they're getting close. And so they're going to, that gives them plenty of time to prepare. They aren't leaving a school system or a school in a lurch, if you will. But we can adjust this. Typically, we leave the timeline flexible, even though we've said this is a projected timeline. Every time you meet them, we may get to set up interviews, and you all may not be able to all get together on the exact same date and understanding how that works. And so you have to flex it. Be glad to answer any other questions for you.
I'm good with it. Just put it out there as quick as possible.
We will do that. Matter of fact, we are poised to go. What will happen is we'll get the posting out. It's already known. I mean, you know, people that we've been watching this system and watching systems in Georgia. They read the media. They search. They know. And so we've had calls already. One of the reasons we have not aggressively gone on the street with it is we don't do that until you tell us what you want. And we needed to know if you're okay with this, and we just haven't been able to meet. But you're really fine. What you don't want to do, you don't want to be doing this in May. Not a good time. But the good thing is, by having an interim, you've really taken a lot of pressure off yourself.
Do you need to know before, as you post, that February 28th deadline, do you need to post it with a deadline?
I plan to, when I'm on a computer tonight, I plan to put out a notice that has an application. We do need an application deadline. That's the only thing I would ask of you to agree with me tonight on. And then I'm at work as soon as we're good to go.
I'm good with that, Rick. I'm afraid to shorten the window too much.
I'm not going to go against the professionals and what they do. I don't want to question it to that extent. Yeah.
6 weeks is a good typical window. 4 is okay. 4 or less implies, like I said, we know what we're going to do. It's just, do it and go. And so you don't want to give that impression, and it's not true. It doesn't require a vote. If you just, if you're okay with me putting that out, it's just something we're going to do. The other thing that we'll make sure is that at every step of the way, every time we meet, I'll say, okay, let's take a look at the timeline. Do we need to adjust anything? You'll notice there that there's some blanks in there. At some point, we'll need to start setting some dates, like, say, okay, let's plan to do interviews on this day or that day or whatever. So you need to plan that out a little bit. But we don't have to do it right now. The other thing I would ask you is, I will need to communicate. Now, you've got my card there, which has got my email address and my cell phone on it. And any of you can call me anytime, period. Or I can put you in touch with our other guys as well. But you can reach me at any point in time and say, look, I got a question, or I need this, or how do we do that? What do we need to know? I think where you'll become real comfortable with the process will be when we have our first meeting during your retreat. We'll spend some time there. One of the things, I've got actually a list of things. There's about a couple of dozen things that I ask for boards to think about, and not decide, but sort of begin to gel your thinking on before we start getting names on the table. And so we have a number of processes we will provide you. Rest assured that we will not let you go to the next step uncomfortable. We just won't do that. One thing I'll mention, I don't play golf. I'm a school board member back home, and so I understand your where you sit and the pressures that are part of it. I respect that. Ladies and gentlemen, what else could I answer for you?
Very good. I'm looking forward to our next opportunity to sit down and work on this.
It actually is going to be, I won't call it fun, it'll be interesting and challenging and good work. It really will be. It's a good process, and I think you'll be pleased. We want you, when you finish, to say, thank goodness that's over, and that wasn't so bad. That's the two things. And we got who and what we wanted, because that's important.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Addis, for your report tonight and for the work you're doing on behalf of this board, and we look forward to meeting with you again.
Thank you. And if you do, even tonight, while you're finishing your meeting, I'm going to be on a computer working on this, and so getting this thing ready to roll. And so even anytime you've got a question, email me, whatever, until you direct me otherwise, if it's okay, if we need your approval on something, I'll send it through Dr. Webb, and then we'll, communicate that way.
And I've also introduced him to Beth Moore, our Public Information Officer,
Yes.
who will be working in conjunction with the actual release to make sure it goes out to the media locally.
And she and I have talked, and I'll make sure that, matter of fact, I will ask you to do this tonight or tomorrow sometime. Take a look at that draft press release and either let Ms. Moore or Dr. Webb know your preference on that, and then I'll make sure that she gets what she needs to get it out to the media on your behalf.
And also I've introduced you to Mr. Goble, our Human Resources Director, who will be working with him and assisting if there's any criteria that we have within our policies or whatever, then we'll make sure we conform to those. So I appreciate the help of him. As
And I'll
always,
make sure that
will probably know as much as the rest of us of what's going on. So if there's questions you have and you can't reach Mr. Addis or me, she can get you the right people.
And I'll make sure that I'm in contact with your council so that we make sure we're all between the ditches and do it as we should. Thank you very much. I'm going to go get to work on your behalf.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And if I could ask the media to respect the process, we'll certainly keep you informed. But when we start, the board starts looking at names and things like that, there are some confidentiality issues that they'll have to be considered for. So if you'll be patient with us, we'll make sure you know as much as we can get out. If you have questions, again, Ms. Moore can help you with those and get those answers for you. Thank you. Thank you again, Mr. Addis. Mr. Chairman, our next report is from our our Chief Financial Officer, Ms. Smith, who will bring you up to date with your monthly financial report. Ms. Smith?
Dr. Webb. I know 3 of you have seen this report many times, but for the new folks, I'm going to give a brief description of what this is about. Feel free to ask questions at any time, and if I have an answer for you, I'll tell you now, and if I don't, I'll find out.
The first report Martha's brought up here is a snapshot of our general fund. Although it does say tentative, this is our approved budget for FY17. In the top section, these are our projected revenues. This is what we budgeted, what we planned on, the monies that we predicted would come in for the year. On the left-hand side, you do see a numerical description and a text description. And for example, the top line is ad valorem taxes. Those are our property taxes we collect in the county. As you go across, you'll see our approved budget. The next column is 1/12 of that number. That's just to give you an idea if we collected the exact same amount each month for 12 months, what it would be. The third column there is the year-to-date actual collections. Encumbrances have to do with expenditures, so that is just a placeholder in the revenue section. Then percent of budget collected, and then the variance, so what we have left to collect. Property taxes, I typically will bring this to your attention. It's quite a large number for us in this county. As you probably know, if you own property here, our taxes were due the first week of December. We have received 82.35% of our projected budget. We will continue to receive payments. Everyone doesn't pay it on time. The county is very good. They are required actually to turn around any receipts they receive within a 2-week period. We have received quite a bit of money in December. We will continue to have money trickling in. What we always hope is we hit that 100% mark by the end of the year. It does not always happen. Part of this is we budget the total amount that we think we will collect, but part of that is held at the county. It's a collection fee. It's 2.5%. This is typical of any county. But we have to budget the full amount. So that 2.5% we will never receive. But if there are past due taxes that are paid,
we will receive that. So you can quite often hit 100% or close, or maybe go a little over, which is what I like to see. As you go down the left-hand side, you'll see various types, and these are state-identified topics that this is the way we have to code and identify various types of revenue that come in to our general fund. Overall, in revenue, we have received 60.09% of our budgeted revenue. We are on target on all the categories. I don't have any concerns at this point. If you see some numbers over 100%, that's great, but I am going to explain one of them. Under other local revenue, we have received an insurance payment for some damage that was done by a hailstorm a few months back. But we received over $100,000 in revenue. Now, there's an expenditure that matches that. And at the time we set the budget, we did not know the hailstorm was coming. So you will see anomalies like this sometimes. And I will try to make sure I explain them to you, but always feel free to ask. In the bottom section, this is our expenditures. Again, state-defined codes to the left, a text code of what function it is, and the same things across the bottom. Under expenditures, you're going to see encumbrances. Encumbrances are purchase orders that have been issued but have not yet been paid. So that's a placeholder. We know we've promised to pay this money. We have this expenditure out there. We just haven't either received the product, maybe the service is not complete, we have not received all the products within one purchase order and we won't pay it until we receive it all, or we have not received approval to pay it, that it is complete. But it is a placeholder to know, oh, hey, we spent that money, so we don't want to overspend. Again, percentage of budget expended and how much money we have left for the rest of the year. So at this point, we have expended 39.78% of our budgeted expenditures. Don't get too crazy happy about that number. It is a very good number, and if you think we're 50% through the year, the way non-12-month employees work in the school system, their typical first paycheck is actually September. So they run September to August. In June, we will have 3 payrolls posted to these funds. July and August, for any non-12-month employee, has to be, even though it is technically in fiscal year 18, it will be backed into 17. These are all state-required supplementary salary and benefit requirements. Does that make sense? That way you have a 12-month snapshot. We've been doing this for quite some time. Do y'all have any questions about the general fund snapshot? And I know y'all have seen it a million times. So. The next report, if you would like to see anything, any additional information that you don't want as much information, if y'all will let Dr. Webb know or shoot me an email, if I can retool it to make it a little simpler, or if you need some other information, y'all let me know. The next report is our SPLOST account. Of course, this is SPLOST 4. Officially, SPLOST 4 collections ended December 31st. For the month of December, we received 2 payments. One was $680.66, and the other, which is our normal revenue collection, is $353,403.97. Earned interest of $995.08, and had a few expenditures there. And you'll see this is the way it was requested that I present these. Again, if you would like to see something different, let me know. But most of our expenditures, as you can see there, have to do with different types of technology that are being distributed throughout the county. We did have the wheelchair lift installed at Jasper Elementary, and there is the SPLOST portion of a bus purchase. We do receive some bus bond funds, around $77,000, to cover a portion of a bus. Any other bus purchases we do, we have been taking out of SPLOST, so that's what you'll see on this report. At the end of December, our balance was $5,123,149.34. These monies can only be used for items that were approved in the SPLOST referendum for this SPLOST. January 1, SPLOST 5 went into effect. So the next collection we will get will be for SPLOST 5. So the rules for that money are whatever the members of the county or the residents of the county approved in SPLOST 5.
There are a few differences, and I'll give you an example. White Fleet was not an approved item in SPLOST 4. Like, I could not buy a maintenance vehicle out of SPLOST 4. SPLOST 5 has language that the voters of Pickens County approved where we can. So we will have to track those separately and make sure we apply all the proper rules to 4 and 5. So we'll take care of that on our end, but just so you know, we do have to keep those, we have to keep up with which funds go with which SPLOST to make sure we follow the correct rules. Does that make sense to you? Do y'all have any questions about this report?
I want to add one thing about that too. There's some strategies we'll be able to utilize with that $5 million that can support the new SPLOST as well too. And as we begin to look at long-range planning on the capital improvements, and we'll probably need to do that during the late winter and spring. I think we can show you some things that'll give you some flexibility in how you can use that money. And of course, also, if we're looking at construction, there'll be some capital improvements money by the state that'll be used for buildings that we will have earned some money. So we'll be working with that too. Mr. Gilleland's already met with Mr. Supes, I believe, on some of that. So we're starting to get some ideas in motion that whenever you're ready to start looking at those issues, then hopefully we can have some of the different alternatives for you later. Thank you.
And the final report I have, more than likely we will still receive the residual SPLOST 4 check, but at this point, as of the end of December, here are the final collections for SPLOST 4 at the moment. Again, like I said, we'll hopefully get a little bit of a cleanup check next month. We collected just over $20 million. The projection in the beginning, which we knew, this is the referendum maximum. This means you either go 60 months of collections or you hit a total amount. What you don't want to do is have an amount that you collect in 24 months because you have to go back to the voters of Pickens County to have one renewed. We had that happen one time before. So we estimate high and ask permission to collect $30 million. We only collected about 20. I was really hoping for 21. I thought we were on the path to hit 21 at one point, but we fell a little bit short. But look forward to seeing what the next 5 years bring. The average, the 12-month average, as you see, has increased to $352,865.80. So it's always great when we see an increase in that average. Do y'all have any questions on this? That's all I have.
Thank you. Next is operations and constructions, Mr. Gilleland.
Well, welcome to 2 new board members, and I appreciate you bringing that snowstorm to me this week. I enjoyed that immensely. In talking about the snowstorm, I wanted to thank some people tonight because this weather deal is a team effort. It really is. And to ride the roads only, I do that with Tracy Alday and David Chapman from Maintenance and Transportation, and they do a good job. They know the county. They live in certain parts of the county that I let them take care of. We find bad areas, and I physically go look too. So that's part of that team. And the other part is in the office. It's Martha, it's Beth, it's Patrick. When we make the decision to send this out, they all have a job. And if you notice, the first day it took us about 20 minutes to get everything out and get the news media and the TV stations to put the correct information up there. We had to go in a couple of times to do that, but Beth did. But the second day, it was out within 12 minutes, something like that, to everybody. So, I mean, it's a team effort, and this has been a learning process. We've worked on this now for over a year, so I think we're getting there. We've got a little more to tweak and make it better, but I mean, this is a team effort. Our whole crew and our bus drivers Wednesday were extra cautious. They knew, I told them to get here early, make sure they can get around the roads, and everything was fine. So, well, we beat another one. Thank God.
Thank you for making the decisions to keep all our students and staff safe.
We try. I appreciate it. going down my list to start off, the rooftop replacement at the high school from the hail damage is complete, totally. They came in over Christmas and it was amazing. If you had saw the parking lot and the area around the high school about 3 days after school was out, you'd have thought, oh no, what are we doing? But it was completed in the time they had. Actually, they got through early. Everything seems to be functioning well. We're finishing up some control parts of it where to get it on the internet so I can manage it and control it. Right now, we're still doing some of that manual. Had one roof leak that happened because of the process, but the contractor's taken care of. They're going to fix it for us. It was, it's something they did wrong. They set a unit down and cut the roof. They're going to fix it. So I was well pleased. It went very good. I put on my list tonight to talk about new school information. Really, the only thing I've got to talk to you about is I have met with 4 architects, and I have pitched some scenarios to them. They are going to give me some feedback. I have some feedback from one now. I would love to one day be able to sit down with Dr. Webb and him share it with you, or he and I both share it with you and let you start looking the feasibility if we can do what we talked about or not. So we're getting there. We don't have any information. We don't know. I mean, I've got some ballpark numbers from people that they feel good about that can give us an idea whether this is the way we want to go or not. And if not, then you give me some direction. I'll have another direction to start getting you that information. So, but I'm doing. I think within the next board meeting period, I'll have you all the information. I tried to have it this week. I got 2 people to respond. The other 2 just didn't give me the information. And it was holidays, so I know that was a problem. The Harmony lift station, I find that we do have our firm bids in, and they've negotiated as good as I could. I had 3 bidders turn in on this. The range was from $158,800 down to $136,000. And we negotiated one thing with them, and we got it to $135,433. And you'll see that come up tonight with Dr. Webb when he has some action items. Transportation, the next training class for us is January the 23rd through the 27th, 8:30 to 1:30 each day. Any coach or teacher interested that can make some of these, we will start training on the wide activity bus. You don't have to have a CDL, but you got to go through all our safety training before you can drive it. We need some of those people if we can get them. SRO report to high school, had 4 juvenile complaints, 2 theft by taking, 1 disorderly conduct, assault, and 1 possession of marijuana less than an ounce. Truancy, have 3 citations issued for parent responsibility, 1 subpoena served, and the SROs have started the CHAMPS program at the 5th grade level right now. They've already introduced this to 10 classrooms so far, and they'll be doing more as we go along. That's pretty well it. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gilleland. Next is the attendance update, Ms. Cantrell.
Thank you, Dr. Webb, and I'd like to say welcome, Happy New Year to everyone. Welcome to our 2 new board members. Very glad to have you on board, and congratulations to our board chair. Again, I'm going to elaborate and talk about first of all, start with the staff attendance at the schools, and then I am going to give you just a little additional information since we have a few new people. I kind of want to just let everybody know what's going on in the student service area. As far as a staff attendance for the month, I would like to congratulate Tate Elementary School, 97.95%. Sandy Lehman, please come forward and receive your certificate, and let's give them a big round of applause. And please take this back and congratulate your staff and tell them that we're very proud of them. Thank you so much. Yeah. Also, right behind there was Miss Walker. and Jasper Middle School. So that's been the last couple of months. So Ms. Walker is, she's really aiming to get there. She's setting her standards high, so everybody look out. Dropout information. Very happy to report we have no dropouts again for the second month in a row, which is this is awesome. I just had a meeting with our student service staff today, and we're at a point to where we start out with green, and then we go, which is where everything's kind of sort of good. Yellow's cautious, red, we're in that red zone now. We're seeing a high amount of course, attendance issues. Our big focus, of course, is to stay focused on dropouts. So we had a meeting today of the minds, and how that we're going to continue to make sure that we're hitting all areas, that we're doing everything to work with the staff at Pickens High School, the grad first, grad focus, working with the counselors. So just want you to know that right now is a time to where we will stay focused. All the time. There will be not a moment where we are not keeping an eye on any student that's at risk of, leaving Pickens High School. Dr. Flatt is he's continuing the grad first, grad focus. And so, our student service department will stay involved in that. So we're very thankful for where we are, 94.2% as far as grad, completion rate. Can we do better? Yes, we can, and we're going to continue to strive to do better. Like I told our team today, I said, we worked hard, and we're going to continue to work hard. We are not going to stop. So just want to let you know that that's our take on the dropouts and the attendance. Also wanted to kind of chime on what Mr. Gilleland was saying about the SRO report. It's a 3 with the truancy citations. We actually have 18 in the process of waiting to be served. One of the things is our SRO department is having difficulty in finding parents. So it's not that, you may not see the numbers, but we do have what we call, it's a pending situation where we're not able to find them. They go to the homes during the day, and a lot of times if they're there, they're not coming to the door. If they're not there, we can't serve them. So we're having to get a little creative, and we're having to, the child being picked up at school. If so, we're letting the SRO know, hey, you can, catch the parent in the car pickup line. Or, some of the parents are really good. They'll come and meet the SROs, but it is very difficult, and I want to say, Chris Lick is doing, and his officers are doing everything they can, but it does cause a delay, and it kind of starts pushing things back because we try to stay on top of the magistrate court referrals immediately and get the parents served. So when we can't find them, it does create that backlog. So that's something that's concerning because we try to get to these cases as quickly as possible. So I want you to keep that in mind, and I also don't want you to be alarmed whenever you see the report come up and there's 18 or 25. So I don't want you to say, oh, my goodness, what's happening. So just want to kind of give you a heads up on that information so that you're not alarmed whenever you see that. The other thing is. One of the things before I announced the winner for the school, I did looking back at last year's attendance this year, and if you look at the percentage, and I'll go ahead and I'll let Martha pull it up, and I'll announce the winner, and then I'll have them come up in a moment to actually receive the banner. But I'll always comparing and looking back and trying to see, are we making improvements? And congratulations to Jasper Elementary School. On the Tigers. So I will ask Sandy Lehman if she will come up and do the unveiling. We have a new banner, by the way. Yeah. Would like to thank Mr. Kirk Garner with Garner Ace Hardware for always supporting us and making sure that we have a nice banner. So I'd like to thank Kirk for that.
Go and stand in the center.
You just put Jasper on there.
Beautiful, beautiful, nice, clean banner. So thank you to Garner Ace Hardware.
Can you raise yours up a little bit? I think I turned your
All right. Just want to give you just a quick little comparison of last year this time to this year. Harmony Elementary School, 18%, 17% as of now, so 1%, we're looking at a improvement. Hill City, 29% last year, 25% this year, so that's 3%, 4% decrease, so that's wonderful. Jasper Elementary, 16% last year, 14% this year, 2% decrease. Tate, 15% last year, 14% as of this time, 1% decrease. Jasper, I'm going to leave this one. Pickens County Middle School, 18% last year, 15% this year, so we're looking at a 3%. Pickens High School, 28% last year, 26% this year, that's 2% decrease. And this just blew my mind. Jasper Middle School, 28% last year, 18%. As of right now. That is awesome. That is what, 9%? Is my math right? 10%. And so when I was looking at this, I was like, wow. So, this is something to be proud of. And, and looking at this, and these are kind of some things that throughout the meetings to come, I want to kind of just give you some information to keep you updated as to comparisons, because I know we do the monthly, but it is nice to know that, that we are making improvements. So I just wanted to add that information in and ask if you have any questions for me about any of my reports.
Thank you, Ms. Cantrell.
Thank you.
And I would like to take this opportunity to commend the board for your interest and attendance. No question that is a critical area. And these kind of improvements right here, I think, are a result of what is being done and your interest and your support of those programs to continue to increase our attendance. So thank you, Ms. Cantrell and the board. Thank you for your interest. Mr. Chairman, this concludes the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Dr. Webb. Next will become the action items. We'll have, first item up is the approval of the 2017 regular board meeting schedule. And this schedule is basically just a mirror of what we have had in the past, the second Tuesday of each month, with June being the only one that's different from that because of our training. Do I hear a motion to approve that?
I make a motion we approve this calendar as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the 2017 schedule. All in favor? 5-0. Next, we have the approval of policy JR, student records. And y'all bring this back to my attention. Did we set this aside last month? Or we put it out for review last month? Okay.
And Mr. Chairman, it has been under review for more than 30 days. This is one that's, of course, recommended by the GSBA. Places us in compliance with current federal and state regulations. So it's a matter of a routine. I don't think there's anything in there that's different than what other school systems throughout the state are required to do. So I recommend this approval.
Okay. I have a motion for approval.
Make a motion we approve policy JR.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? 5-0. Next, we have the Harmony Lift Station pump replacement.
Chairman, subject to any questions that the board members might have, I recommend that we accept the low bid from the Lanier Construction Company in Lawrenceville of $135,433 as provided in your materials, and subject to any final review by our school board attorney.
I will make the motion that we approve this approve this item as presented to the low bidder. Can I get a second?
I second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor? 5-0. Next will be approval of board minutes from December 12th regular board meeting and the December 19th call board meeting of 2016. I have a motion for those. December 8th regular call board meeting and December 19th.
Make a motion that we approve the regular board meeting minutes from 12/8 and also the call board meeting minutes from 12/19/2016.
Have a second.
A second.
All those in favor? 5-0. Next item, I'll make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss or deliberate upon the appointment, employment, compensation, hiring, disciplinary action or dismissal or periodic evaluation or rating of a public officer or employee, or to interview applicants for the position of superintendent, and to consult and meet with legal counsel pertaining to pending or potential litigation, settlement, claims, administrative proceedings, or other judicial actions brought or to be brought by or against the school district or an officer or employee, or in which the officer or employee may be directly involved. Get a second for that?
A second.
All those in favor? 5-0. Okay, at 8:46 p.m., a motion was made by Delane Lewis, seconded by Byron Long to come out of executive session. No action was taken. The vote was 5-0. Can I hear a motion to approve executive session minutes as read?
I'll make a motion that we approve the executive session minutes as read. I'll second.
All in favor? 5-0.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend approval of the personnel action report.
I make a motion that we approve the personnel action report as presented.
A second.
Motion and a second to approve personnel action report. All those in favor? 5-0. gets us to board comments. Any board comments?
Is this from you, Beth?
It's
show us?
Yes, it's a present for you. Would you like a present?
Thank you. I love this. I'm so excited to have it with this much time. Thank you very much for your effort.
All of you have it.
Any comments? Other comments?
Now, do we need to let everybody know that we're doing our retreat? Do we need to give those dates to, are we agreed to those dates, first of all, I guess?
The publishes that.
Yeah.
And I think it's the prerogative of the chair to call a meeting. So at the time that Mr. Bell has communicated with you and we talked, we can confirm that.
Okay.
Get the information out, and make it public to the media at that time. If that's appropriate.
Okay. I'll make a comment. I want to welcome Sue Finley and Catherine White. It's big changes here. Everything's different. It's like a brand new place coming in here right now. I want everybody to know that as this newly elected board chair, I am not on this board to gain any kind of titles or anything like that. So I look forward to doing the best I can. Bear with me. I don't think I'm the best at this, but I'll do the best I can. I appreciate our school district. So I'm here to do what's best for our school district, period. That's it. So I look forward to this. I'm excited.
Well, I will make a comment. I'm very glad that you're our chairman, and I'm very glad that Dr. Webb is here. Gotten rave reviews at this early on, and the staff and the community is all very supportive of you, and I would think we all are. I'm very supportive and glad you're here.
Thank you.
I just want to tell all you guys, thank you for all you do for the kids and the students and Stacy and all the people that were riding the roads. I mean, there were some decisions that I think some other counties made that weren't the smartest, and I think we did a great job keeping our kids safe and our staff safe. So thank you for doing that.
Next is to adjourn.
Ooh, I can take that motion. Motion to adjourn.
I second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor? 5-0.